Today is a special episode. It's part one of a two-part conversation with Pastor Steve. We sit down and talk about his story, his calling, and how his journey has shaped him into the minister that he is today. I hope you enjoy today's episode. Welcome to Not Your Typical Church Podcast. My name is Cory, and this is a place for real conversations about church, life, leadership, and everything in between. Today, I'm sitting down with my friend, Pastor Steve Grow Kale. We're going to talk about his journey in music, behind the scenes of how we do worship, and why we sing the songs we sing. So let's dive in. So, Pastor Steve, Let's go ahead and address the issue here.
Okay. What would you like to know?
This is not your favorite thing, is it?
Mm-mm.
Pastor Steve likes to be behind the scenes. That's why you don't see him with a microphone on Sunday.
Just put me behind the cross and I'm
there
happy.
You go. So he's behind the piano every Sunday, playing piano, does a tremendous job. He leads our worship team. He actually does have a mic on Sundays. Most people don't know this. And he can communicate with the worship team, and he can communicate with me back in the sound booth.
That's great.
And I can communicate with him as well. So if something's going on, we want to extend the altar time or whatever, we can address those issues. And so
that's exactly right. We direct traffic through those mics.
That's exactly right.
Keep it going.
Good stuff. So before we dive into some of the technical stuff of ministry and how we do ministry at the church, I want to talk a little bit about Pastor Steve. I want to talk about Steve before we talk about Pastor Steve.
Steve. Okay,
right, so,
what would you like to know about me?
Okay, so here's what happened a while back is my daughter takes piano lessons, and she does pretty good. She's actually naturally talented. She can hear things. I'm not good with music and notes and stuff, but she can hear sound. Okay.
I haven't really tested you yet, but we're going to try that.
Okay, well.
But Holland, we're talking about Holland.
Holland, my daughter, she's
excellent.
Very good. She can listen to something and then go sit at her piano and work it out and play it, okay? So I had brought her into the worship auditorium one morning. Steve was in there working, and I said, Steve, she's been working on this song. I want you to let her play it with you. And he showed her some different stuff, and she played for me. She did pretty good, but Steve told me this. He said, I think right now she likes it, but once she loves it, she'll be really, really good. And what did you mean by that?
Well, most parents want their children to play, an instrument or sing or discover a talent. And so oftentimes they get stuck into a lesson or a private lesson with somebody or even in band in school. And the child really don't want to do it, but they have to because their parents are making them do it. And sometimes a child, even during that process, can discover, hey, this ain't bad. I kind of like this. If they love it, as I told you, they'll endure through all the bad notes, the practicing. It won't seem like work, and they'll keep on going until it gets pretty good. And Holland seems to love it, or if not, she definitely has it. I wish she would because she has the talent to do it. She picked up very quickly by ear, and that's why I told you that. So if they love it, they'll endure that, and because it's fun, it's not work to them.
That's right, and she does. I would say right now she really, really likes it. Okay. I don't know that she loves it because she doesn't like to practice and stuff. But she's a little lazy. Okay, I'll just be honest with you.
Well, sometimes you don't know until they get their first applause. And
that's true.
Then they might love it.
When did you fall in love with music, Pastor Steve?
I've loved music all my life, ever since I can remember, and that's the truth. Even as a small child, I grew up in a family of music. My dad, when I was born, he was a radio DJ. His name was Bob Grow Kale. And he was DJ at WBLA radio. It was an AM station at that time. So he always had records at the house and played music, and he was a local DJ at the time as well. And then him and Mom split up early, and she remarried Mike Milligan. And that's also another music family, if you guys know. Mike and the Serenaders Quartet.
Yeah, if you're from this area, you probably heard of the Serenaders.
So Gerald Milligan, he was like the king of piano. I mean, he was my idol. And so I would go to Gerald's house and just tinker around on the piano. And at that time, I wasn't in band or anything. And I was, like Holland, just picking out tunes. And he just encouraged me greatly. So he was a great influence. And so I've loved music all my life. And that started the journey. And I eventually got into band and another, concert bands and marching band. And we're talking about school stuff. And then when I graduated high school and going into college, also as a music major.
Okay.
But
And where'd you go to college?
I went to college at what they called Pembroke State at the time.
Okay.
So
the University of North Carolina at Pembroke.
So
now.
if that sounds better, I'll just say I'm from the University of North Carolina at Pembroke.
So.
And I was a music major, and I majored in performance. And so, and trombone was the instrument that I was playing in high school. It was also the course that I took through high school, and that led me to a scholarship into Pembroke. So I continued to play trombone, although I love playing piano.
Okay.
I was a secret piano player. They didn't even know I played piano there, but and that served me well during my piano proficiency courses, which all music majors have to. And I kind of faked my way through that because I could play by ear so well.
Right.
My roommate was a piano major, and I brought the music to him and said they want me to play this at my trial, what they call trial judgment things, where the staff sits in front of you and judges what you play. I said, play this for me. And he played it for me a few times, and I just memorized it. I heard it, and I said, this is easy. And I got it. So I pretended to read the music, and most
that's amazing. Y'all do not glance over that. That was amazing what he's talking about. What he did, he just listened to it, memorized it.
Well, that was the gift God had given me to play by ear, And I also read music because trombone teaches you to read. So I had to take the music theory courses and all, and I could pick out the piano parts. I understood the two different clefs and the reading, but it was just easier for me just to get to the chase and play because I had other things I wanted to do in college.
Right.
So, but anyway, what does any more about the love? We're talking about Holland and her,
and we're talking about love of music
and love of music. So that started me on my. So I've always loved music.
Okay, so after college, so you had music major. So what did that develop into? What did you become?
Well, I had two choices. I could become a music educator, switch my degree over to that. And at that time, the way the system of school, when I went to school, you went all year in band.
Yep.
You took band, it was for the whole year. And at that time, they were introducing these new curriculum where you could sign, like college courses, you could take band for 6 weeks, and then the next 6 weeks you could drop band. And I didn't think that was a good thing. But you're trying to prepare your band to go to competitions and things. And if half my students left in 6 weeks, that'd be devastating. I didn't like that. I didn't like the lack of support the band was getting, or even educators or teachers in general. I can't imagine any. I pray for teachers today. I don't know how they do it because the support just doesn't seem to be there from parents or administration, and the pay certainly ain't what it's supposed to be. So I said, well, I love music. I want to make something of that, so I'm going to stay in performance. So after college, I went to a band. I started a band. I didn't start a band. It was me, a guy named Jim Quick. We started a band called the Coastline Band. Uh-huh. And it was a thing, we played mostly beach music. And I had never heard of beach music because that kind of stuff, some of the music I'd heard from my dad at radio, but it was called rhythm and blues or soul or that kind of, but the whole dancing at Myrtle Beach, they called shag.
Right, yep.
To that kind of music, it was alien to me. But Jim was very into that. He was a DJ, like my dad, but at Laurinburg, at WLNC. And so he just picked on me hard about that. And he said, he played me a song called I Love Beach Music by the Embers. I said, the Embers, who are they?
Right.
So he was he just made fun. But like I told you, I can about listen to anything and pick it out and started playing it. And what I liked most about that music, not only was it fun to play, it paid.
Right.
I started getting paid.
That's good.
I wanted to make a living. I wasn't trying to be rich, but it was just nice to, hey, I could do this, and I'm actually getting paid for doing something I love to do. Going back to that word love.
Yeah. That's good. Good stuff. So let me ask you this question before we go into this a little bit further. So you weren't into beach music. What were your musical influences? And I know now we're talking to Pastor Steve, but I'm talking before we were Pastor Steve.
Before Pastor Steve. Well, I grew up listening to groups like Journey, and Billy Joel was a big influence. So it was like more soft rock, pop rock. And then there were periods I got into some heavier stuff, but that kind of music, the heavier it got, the less you heard keyboard. So right. I didn't go far down that road. But I appreciated all music. If it was good, I liked it. I didn't really, at that time, I didn't listen to any country. But that's flip-flop now. I'm now listening to more country than ever. Even Pastor Steve listens to country.
Is that right? So Morgan Wallen or older country?
Older country. I'm going back to the roots.
Oh, back to George Jones.
George Jones and Vern Gosden. He's killer.
Goodness. Okay.
So those are the that's the kind of country I'm listening to. I'm getting there, though. I like some of the new guys, too.
So for those of you that don't know, I'll share this with you. Pastor Steve, not only does he work with a church, but he's also an engineer. Is that the correct terminology, right?
Yeah, I'm an engineer, recording music, and that's another way to make a living as well. So
musical engineer.
Musical engineer. I went back when I came back. Well, let's back up because the Coastline Band. I did that for about 5 years, so I quit that, and I came back home, and a lot of things changed when I came back home. And I was not unhappy with the Coastline Band. I love those guys, but we were playing the same songs, the same places every night. And I started noticing the people that were listening to the music, and some of the people I played with, like Percy Sledge and Billy Scott and different ones, they've had some sad stories. And I saw Percy Sledge tell me about he played all his life, and he really never made any money because the record companies took all the rights to his songs, and he's the one that did "When a Man Loves a Woman." In case you don't know,
I knew who Percy Sledge was. Okay, I knew that.
So he didn't really make any money from the royalties of that. He'd always made it off performing. So if because he was Percy Sledge, he did that song. He could get paid, to sing it at a club or a play or a venue of some kind. But he never made any money on the radio. Or if you heard it in movies, he could have been a millionaire, but he was so that just didn't appeal to me. But what when I looked at it deeper, it was a spiritual thing.
Right.
It just wasn't the way I wanted to go.
Right. So that leads to my next question. So when did you know that you were being called into worship ministry? And it probably wasn't called worship ministry.
Well,
worship's kind of a new word.
I didn't know that even worship ministry, piano players at churches or whatever, could make a living or anything at that time, because most of those people, and I'm going back to Juanita Stanley, who used to play at church at New Light. Mm-hmm. I don't think she ever really got paid that much, or if she did, it was a short period of time, and it just wasn't a thing you did for me. You just did it because you love Jesus, right? Yep. But I had to make money, so when I come back home, I talked to Mike about it, and he has a music store there. At that time, well, now it's a studio, but back then it was a music store. And so we had these keyboards and things, and he wanted me to learn how to repair them. So I went to Blaine Community College to pick up electronic degree, and which they called industrial electronics or something like that. But anyway, it was a two-year degree, and it just taught me how to open up the thing and find out and identify the parts, trace the power supplies, find out what's going wrong with it and repair. So that led me kind of in a wonky way to being an engineer at the studio.
Okay.
But it started out repairing organs and keyboards and things like that.
And just for the listeners who don't know, what does the engineer at the studio do?
He records, he sets up the recording equipment for whether it's music or vocals. And he just records that, and when he records it, then you mix it. So get the volumes and everything like you want.
So would you say that sometimes you take decent singers and make them sound great?
We always try to make everyone's dream come true at Serenade Studios.
So if you've ever been to a concert or you heard somebody sing live and you're like, ugh, that don't sound like it does on the radio, that's because when you hear it on the radio, somebody like Steve has mastered that thing and made it sound just a little bit better.
Right. And hopefully you can make this interview sound better with your mastering skills.
We'll see. So you did start at the playing the piano at church. Is that correct?
Well, the way that started, I got back in church. So now I'm working at the music store. I'm going to church, and I didn't really run to the piano. I wasn't trying to do that. Pastor Dale had been talking to me, but about different things, spiritual things, and there I was getting back involved. I had been saved under Pastor Ronnie Cox.
Okay, that was before Pastor Dale.
That was before Pastor Dale, but I reaffirmed, my spirituality also while I was under Pastor Dale, and so I just rededicated my life. I said, this is what I want to do. I want to be a Christian, whatever first. And however I need to make money through music, that's what I'll do. But I wasn't seeking to play the piano for money. That was never a goal of mine. not for church. And so I just was happy at the studio, and I have to give props to these folks because they're the ones that got me on stage. I came one Wednesday night to church, and Pastor Judy was on the stage platform, and Terry Yard, her husband, and he saw me and he started waving. He said, "Come on up here." And this was right before church got started. I was like, "No." He said, "No, come on up here." So I got up there, and they had, at that time we had a grand piano and an organ, I think.
Yep.
When we first started, it was just one of the big Kauai organs. Yep. And so I just got on the organ and started chording, and I had a good time. It was fun. It was nice to play again. And but that's really all I thought about it. But then the next practice I had to say, "You need to come back."
Right.
And so I started coming to practices and got involved with the music ministry. And it was strictly volunteer. I just loved playing. And there I was, repairing keyboards, coming to church.
Yeah. Recording at the studio.
And I got to play a little bit because Miss Judy is a fantastic pianist. But then something happened there. She wanted to stand in front of the congregation and kind of leave the piano and wanted me to work piano stuff.
That's right. So she was basically become the worship leader.
Right. She was trying to grow in that area, and so she, it was a high compliment to me because I didn't know if I could even do that, and so she encouraged me and worked with me, and so that started that path of me playing piano at church.
Okay, and then so from there, and you've been here just about as long as I have back at the church. I grew up in the church, and kind of almost like you did, same kind of story. We kind of went to other places and came back, and I came back about 15 years ago. I believe you came back about 14 years ago. So that kind of evolved. And the thing about Pastor Steve, what he told you a while ago, is that he can listen to any music and play it. So at the studio, they mainly record Southern gospel pretty much exclusively.
And it's getting more contemporary than in the last couple of years.
But we saw that we wanted to make a little shift and do a little more contemporary music, and Pastor Steve was able to kind of help facilitate that because he knew how to do it and knew the style. And so, Pastor Steve, let me ask you this question, and this is not something that we talked about, just so full transparency for anybody watching, is I kind of let my guests know what we're going to talk about, but this one weren't on the list. So playing in church and worship, how does that compare to playing for like the Coastline Band? The fulfillment in it, is there a difference?
Well, when you're in Coastline Band or in beach band or rock band or whatever, if you're playing, the goal is just for people to be happy.
That's right.
You want them. You're just entertainment. But in a church environment, in a spiritual environment, you're seeing lives changed, and that to me was way more pay than I ever deserved to see that. And to be a part of that. I'm not saying I had anything. I give God glory for everything, my talent and everything. It's not about me. And He could use me. And I'm sitting there seeing people at the altar just broken and crying and just walk away victorious. That's the biggest payoff for me.
So and this is why I bring this up. I recently went to a concert that was not a Christian concert, okay? And it was a great time, okay? I'll just be honest with you. We had a great time. The people were singing, and it's almost like a worship atmosphere because people are standing up, they're clapping, they're shouting, they're doing all these things like you do in worship. But here was the difference, is that when the concert was over, the excitement was over. But worship, on the other hand, to me, it just helps facilitate something. Yes, there's excitement in that moment, but when you leave there, the thing that got you excited goes with you.
That's very true. That's very true. So it's a whole lot more fulfilling to be part of that. Well, I know. I can only imagine what it's like to be a pastor and lead people to Christ up there like that. But as a here again, I get to do what I love to do, and God uses that somehow through the lyrics or whatever, and then touches and helps touch those people and break the yoke.
Good stuff, Pastor Steve. So we learned a little bit about you today, and most people never get to talk to you on stage because here's what happens with Pastor Steve. He's the first one on the stage and the last one off because he's playing the piano to start the music and he's playing the altar calls and the music. And so usually by the time he gets off stage, half the people are gone.
Yeah, I used to didn't go to the lobby because of that reason, because most people were gone. But I am, I guess I could come off in a bad way, and hopefully I don't. But I love people. I love my church. I love all the people that come out to church, and I don't mind talking. It's just I can't see. And there's another thing. I don't remember faces. I don't see people out there.
That's right.
The lights are blinding. So people, they'll come to me. They look at me. They see me all the time.
Yeah.
There's 100 people looking at me. It's like what Pastor Dale said. I'm just one looking back.
Yeah, that's right.
And so it's hard. And so I'm working on that. I'm asking the Lord to help me in that area. But you can find me in the lobby now most Sunday after church. If you stay around long enough, you're welcome to come talk to me. Ask me
Introduce yourself. Introduce yourself. So say, hey, Pastor Steve,
I'm still growing. The Lord's still working on me.
And if he already knows you, he'll say, oh, yeah, I know who you are, okay? Thank you for tuning in today. I hope you enjoy getting to hear about Pastor Steve and his journey. Next week, tune in for part 2, where we will share how we do ministry in our church and maybe how you can be a part of that. I want to say this. Thank you so much for listening today. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Leave us a review, share it with a friend, and follow along on social media. For updates and behind-the-scene content, that's where you want to be. We'll see you next week. Before we go, though, can I pray for you? Dear Lord, we just thank you so much for each and every listener. Lord, I just pray that you would impact their life in a special way. Lord, I pray that you be with Pastor Steve on his journey, that he will continue to grow closer and closer to you as we worship together in love and in kindness. And it's the name of Jesus that we lift up above all else. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Until next time, keep showing up, stay curious, and never settle for typical.